rookie and the sheriff, coys all the way, shameless and rowdy, they have lots to say. They're having it large, with a beer in the hand. North London forever, greatest team in the land. It's the Spurs breakfast brunch. Yeah, the Spurs breakfast brunch. It's the Spurs breakfast brunch. You know the Spurs, oh the Spurs breakfast brunch. Morning all. Welcome to the Two Mark Show. Back again. Hopefully, a new manager in place. You never know. Roberto Zerbi looks like he's going to be the new manager of Spurs as long as the last bits of the contract talks don't go all tits up like it normally does for Spurs. What do you think? What does everyone think about De Zerbi? Is it desperation? Have they backed themselves into a corner, nowhere to go, like we've been speaking about for the last few weeks? This is the last throw of the dice for them. Listen, this fella, he's got experience in the Premier League, De Zerbi. We just talk about the football stuff for now. Forget all the other bits and pieces. Now, 462 senior games in his career, 200 wins from that, with a win rate, I think it's just short of 43% at those clubs. Now, 160 losses and 102 draws. He likes to play with a 4-2-3-1, but he will change that. He likes to play with his winger's eye. One interesting stat out of all this is that in 8 of his jobs, he hasn't exceeded 30 games. He's a very fiery character. Likes to get what he wants, if you know what I mean. If he asks for something, he expects the people above to go and find it for him. We know that's going to be very difficult for him or any other manager, as none of them have been backed over the last however many years. So, do you know what? Whatever promises they're making him, and if he chooses to believe that, then that's on him at the end of the day. But let's hope it doesn't turn out to be one of those, appointments that just go south in the first few games. There's lots of reasons it could. There's lots of reasons it couldn't. You know, I've seen a tweet from Tom Allnut this morning, whether you want to believe him or not, that the players have sat and had a meal and they're all excited for Roberto De Zerbi to be coming in. So, but you know, they're going to say that anyway, whether they are or whether they're not. Now, Sassuolo was the only team that he managed for a good time, 120 games. 120 games there. Like I say, there's eight of the teams that he's been at. He's done less than 30 games. He's fell out with numerous boards over his time, numerous players over his time. So, look, what does me is more than anything else is that they've offered him a 5-year contract. But I've also read today that there's terms in place that if we do go down, that he can walk away. So if that's the case, why offer him a 5-year contract in the first place? You know, I'm sure there'll be something in there that if he does disappear after the 7 games and we do go down, he'll get whatever payoff and that'll be that. And then we're in the same boat again, looking again in the summer. So we know that this board have told many managers, and we've had top managers over the last few years. When you look at Mourinho and Conte and the like, that they haven't been supported to the point where they need to be. And for me, what makes it any different now for ENIC that they're going to start supporting this manager? You know, they've been chasing the fella for a while now. He didn't want to come. And now all of a sudden, because, you know, 12 million a year has been waved about, all of a sudden he's up for coming. So they're still working on the small details. It could break at any time, you know, if everything's true, what they're saying, and it could be announced. But then at the same time, it wouldn't surprise me that it all goes south and it all gets reneged. And it don't happen because that's just Tottenham. But let's assume it is. Let's assume it is. Where do you stand with Roberto De Zerbi? Is there any manager at the end of the day that gets us out of this? Because to me, it's not on the manager. It's on the players. You know, it don't matter if you're being Pep Guardiola. It don't matter if you bring Alex Ferguson. If the players ain't going to put it in, then the players ain't going to put it in, and they're going to send you down. What makes this manager for you lot? What makes it that this manager could make the difference when Tudor couldn't, when Frank couldn't, when Ange couldn't to an extent without the Europa League, as far as the league's concerned? 2.5 years of dross tells you that these players are wank, or the majority of them, and they don't care. So again, tell me what RDZ brings to Tottenham that ain't going to set the place on fire if it goes wrong. Because it could be a scenario where, you know, something goes wrong, he kicks off and he walks. I said to you all ages ago that ENIC were running out of what they could do. The alleyway was getting narrower and there was nowhere to go. Now, this is their last throw of the dice. But bear in mind, yeah, they might suffer in monetary terms if we go down, but we suffer as fans because they haven't done their job properly. And this is why I'm asking, is it now? Yeah, we know it's their last throw of the dice, but is it the right throw of the dice? Or is it just because they're so desperate, they're throwing money that people, managers that are available as such? But 12 million quid, I know it's not our money. If the bloke didn't want to come before, what makes him change his mind now? Is he really going to be a Tottenham man? You know, we've already said that they're going to be making promises to him that they probably ain't going to keep. Well, they're not going to keep. Let's leave the probably out of it. They're not going to keep. But anyway, you talk to me about it. Look, let's get into the chat before we get too far behind, because I ain't looked at a chat yet and we've already done 10 minutes. Pete's in. Big up to you, Pete. So you have a good show, Cook. You won't be in until Friday. We'll catch up when I get home. Big up to you, Pete. Hope you're well. Have a great day, mate. Sporting's in. Good morning, Cook. Hope you and family are well. Yep, everyone's well, mate. And to the Sheriff as well. And I'm sure I've just seen him before the show. He was trying to join, but his 4G weren't letting him hear me. I could hear him, but he couldn't hear me. So I think he's going to be in the chat here. So big up to the Sheriff. Big up to you, Sporting. Big up to Anthony this morning. Hope you're well. Dr. Tottenham Therapy. Get over to him. Give him a sub. Where are we? Lee's in. Morning, Lee. Hope you're well, mate. This morning. Hope you're really well. Steve's in. Steve Dyer. Hope you're well, Steve. Thanks for popping on last night. I know you didn't get to say too much, but you're always welcome, mate. And a little tip for you. jump in, mate, when people are when you hear a little gap and you want to say something, get yourself in there, mate. It's got to be done. Big up to you, though, Steve. Marianne's in. Morning to you, Marianne, YouTube member. Hope you're well this morning. Kate's in. Might not be in for the beginning of the show. Going for a couple with my friend whose husband has just passed away. Oh, it's sad, Kate. Nice of you to go around and see your friend. Hopefully back soon. Big up to you, Kate. I hope you're well this morning. Joey's in. Morning to you, Joey, again. Thanks for coming on last night, mate. You know you're more than welcome anytime. Got some great takes on Spurs. And, you know, Joey didn't really get to talk a lot last night either. So I've no doubt we'll do another show soon. And you'll have more time to get your say over. Sporting says, please remember to hit the like and subscribe. Yeah, hit the like and subscribe. We're flying along at the moment. Keep hitting that subscription button. Keep hitting that like button. It's really important to us because it's only you hitting them buttons that send out the message to other people that we are actually here, because there's so many people that don't know about us. There might be so many people that don't want to know about us, to be fair. But keep sharing the streams. Keep getting it out there. The more people we can get in here, the better. Rodney's in. Big up to you, Rodney. As always, big up. Come on, you Spurs. Jimmy's in. Big up. Good morning, Cookie. And a chat from a dull but dry northwest. Yeah. Just had a look. Quick weather report. It looked like it was pissing down where Sheriff was. But yeah, same Jim, really. We're in the same area. We're not far away from each other. It's dull, but it's dry at the moment, and that is exactly what it is. It's I think it's about 6 or 7 degrees outside. Sheriff said, good morning to all. There you go. Good morning to you, Sheriff. Hope you're well. I see you had your little lime green hat on this morning so everyone could see you in the rain. He would be if his signal was any good, Jim, but it weren't. We did try. Yeah, Lee's link in. You can stick that in any time you want. Sporting, anytime you want. Let's have a look. Wembers is in. Morning, Cookie, and all in the chat. Will 10 a.m. be the 0 hour? Gross incompetence of 25 years has led to this most pathetic display of desperation imaginable. Worst ownership in the world. Well, they're down to their last throw of the dice now, Wembers. We've been talking about it for weeks. I hope you lot will back me up. And this is the road that it's finally led down. And, you know, you can say about Tudor, they made a massive mistake with Tudor. And bless his family's heart, by the way. Again, you know, he's lost his dad, totally separate situation. Family comes first. But it was the wrong appointment. It was the wrong appointment. They didn't do their due diligence. It never worked out with Tudor. And you could almost say we've wasted 5 games. We've wasted 5 games. But look, it is what it is. We all live and learn. We're all doing the same thing every day, living and learning. Tottenham made a massive mistake. ENIC, as usual, made a massive mistake. And now they're having to put their hand in their pocket to get someone in to try and save us. You know? 5-year contract on £12 million a year. 72 million. And don't get me wrong, I know we paid Conte 15 million. I'm just saying it's a lot of money for a man who hasn't won anything and not really been in that sort of relegation battle, you know, 7 games to go, let's get them out of this situation. Ghosted's in. Big up to you, Ghosted. I hope you're well, mate. Big up to you, Sheriff. Finn says, I keep reading that players generally find it difficult initially to understand Zerbi's style of play, and it takes a few weeks to adapt to his system. Not ideal considering our current situation. And I know that there was one, I don't know if it was Marseille, that he went into, Finn, and lost the first 6. So look, the geezer's got to get on board sharpish. If they're going to get him in, Spurs, don't fuck about. With you're offering him the dough. Don't piss about over little bits and pieces. Get him in, and get him on that training field, even with the lads that haven't gone away on international duty. I'm sure he'll have a zillion things to do that don't even got anything to do with the football. For a manager, it's not just about that. There's a million and other one things to do. Get him in. Get him in so he's got a few days to sort it out, or to sort out what he needs to do so he's comfortable in his position. Personally, I hope it works out and he gets the 2 or 3 wins that we need. Who's to say he won't? But at the end of the day, it's just negligence from Enoch. We all know what it is. We know what it is. And last throw of the dice time for him at the end of the day. Last throw of the dice for him. And let's see what it does. Ellie says, morning, Cookie. Just finished doing a promo for you, and another great show is on its way. Thanks, Ellie. Appreciate that. Ellie's out there getting it all out to all the different socials. And to be fair, like last night's show was a banger. There was over 230 of you in here last night watching the fan calling show, and we appreciate it, because the fan calling shows are just that. Not a lot of talking from us, and it's about you lot getting on the channel and voicing your opinions about what's going on at Tottenham. That's what the fan calling show is all about. And we'll continue to do them while they're popular. Yeah, and hopefully we'll be able to give more time to people to speak and get stuff off their chest about what's going on with Spurs. Morning to you, Scott. Hope you're well, mate. And Jane, hope you're well this morning as well. Flicks was in on the show last night. Again, only got to say a little bit, couldn't hang around for too long. But again, Flicks, you're more than welcome anytime to come on the 2 marks, mate. Talk sense, fella. Jimmy says, desperate times calls for desperate measures. How does he get a tune out of these players who have down tools? I can't know, but it certainly won't be easy. And this is what we was just talking about, Jim. Last throw of the dice now. He is the bloke that they're trusting to get a tune out of these players. Yeah. I'd give them all a guitar and tell them to play Kumbaya, personally. But there you go. Dominic's in. Morning to you, Dom. I'm not for or against it. I can see that he could feel a lack of backing and will make his feelings clear and then go. But I will back him if he comes to us. And I will too, Dominic. And I think we all should. We don't make the decisions on who the manager is. They're making the decisions, whether we feel it's right or wrong. Yeah, there's 7 games to go. And all you can do as supporters is get behind the team. And at the end of the day, again, whether you think they're good enough, whether you think they're bad enough, the majority of the fan base do not want to go down. Forget the Enoch part of it for a minute. Yeah. As a football fan, you don't want to see your club relegated. Now, we know other people have given their views on why, if we got relegated, it might, make Enoch sit up and take notice. But we can only wait and see. It's out of our hands. We know how it's probably going to play out. But just get behind the geezer. Steve Scares, morning to Flicks. Great being on the calling show with you last night. There you go. That, my friends, is, as you know, Harry the Bear with the hat on in the corner. But this is Wolfie. And I put him there purposely this morning. There he is there. There you go. And if I can move my hand the right way, where's that way? There you go. There he is. Right. But he's howling for the Zerbi. Oh, he's in. He wants the Zerbi. So he's asked me this morning, can you sit me next to the bear? I want to give my seal of approval. And he has done. There you go. There's Wolfie for you. He's normally on the old, sitting on the edge of the window there, just over there. But I thought I'd get him down today and sit him there. He's all right, Wolfie. We love him. Hotspur Flick says, the Zerbi announcement incoming today. It looks like it. We'll see. They're working out the small detail, and apparently anyway. And we'll see when it gets announced. We will see if it gets announced. Joey says, remember when people said Tudor gets instant results? Some people now saying De Zerbi's first few weeks players find difficult. Well, they ain't got weeks, have they, Joe? They've got to get on board now. You know, if they've got anything about them, they're going to get on board and they're going to get on with it and they're going to listen. You know, and if they don't listen and De Zerbi can't get them going quick, we're down. And we could find ourselves in the same position again with another manager gone, no manager, you know, going into the summer again in place at the beginning of the new season on the 1st of June, because that's when it officially starts, on the 1st of June. So do we want to really go down that road again of having a manager here now who can't get us over the line, we get relegated, and at the start of next season, again, regardless of the Potts rumours, because I've seen stuff saying they ain't even spoke to him. So are we going to be back there again? The only reason we're not going to be is if we manage to stay up and De Zerbi stays. Big up to Zorba. He says he's only interested in a long-term deal. The board consider the offer a compromise worth making in order to get him in the immediate future. And Zorba, that was what we was talking about last night. You know, whatever it costs for him, 50 million, 60 million, whatever it is, you know, if you go down, it's costing you 300 million, 400 million. So I get it, but I don't get it. Why not say to him, you know, 2-year deal, whatever, with an extension, as long as you keep us up? Why has it got to be 5 years? You know, we're not in the boardroom, obviously, but I just don't get why you're offering a fella a 5-year contract when he might only be here 7 games. But, you know, that's Spurs for you. Dominic says also, Cookie, I presume that most Spurs fans, like me, doubt the board's ability to make the right decision anyway. Well, Dom, like we said, this is their last chance now, isn't it, for this season? Anyway, I mean, they've absolutely fucked it up big style, weren't they, for the last 2 years? You know, Frank should have been gone before January. You know, they should have been pulling someone like this bloke in January, but they weren't offering him the money. They was only offering him a 6-month deal. Yeah, so if you wanted him that badly in January, why weren't you offering him a 5-year deal then? Because you're fucking clueless. That's why. And now you're desperate. You've got nowhere to run now. Nowhere to run. Like we say on this channel, we've been saying it for weeks and months. Totally incompetent, totally a bunch of tossers, totally running our club into the floor. Ellie says, I bet in that contract the salary is slashed even if he does stay, if we get relegated. So I think if we get relegated, he's gone, Ellie. To be fair, I don't think he'll be here. Ghosty says, I'm not bothered about De Zerbi at the moment. He's probably the best we can get. My concerns lie with rebuilding the club in the summer with a manager who may throw his toys out of the pram at any point. Agreed with you, Ghosty, but at the end of the day, if a board is there to back a manager, look, he's not going to get everything he wants, right? There's not many boards that give every manager everything they want. But this is when we talk about alignment, yeah? Excuse me. What is the point of having someone like De Zerbi here if you're going to keep Lang? What's the point of having someone like Zerbi here if you're going to keep Vinay. Because they're not the right people to do the job. We've seen that over the last year. So you've got to get a director of football in that's got the same sort of outlook on the game as Zerbi has. And then you've got his coaching staff to come in, but you've got to align the club. There's no point going down the same route again with this double director of football bollocks and people like Vinay. Sandy, what's he doing? What is he doing? It's shocking what's going on at Tottenham at the moment. Absolutely shocking. To be in this position, this club of this so-called magnitude, right? With all this so-called money, right? We've wasted more money on managers. We could have got the 2 or 3 players, quality players that we needed with the money that we're wasting on managers and paying out for their coaching staff. It's fucking millions and millions. If you did the job properly in the first place and got the right people in to run the club properly, you wouldn't be in this position, and nor would we. And now look what you're doing. You're desperate, absolutely desperate. Now, you've backed yourself into a corner. You've backed us as fans into a corner because you're shit at what you do. So if you're shit at what you do, get someone in who knows what they're doing. And again, yeah, we might have to go through a bit of pain to get there. Right, but Enoch needs to sort it out now. Either shape up or get lost. What's the point of spending 12 million a year on a manager when you're not going to back him? We need someone in there that's going to stay. Regardless of what happens, to rebuild this club back to where, hopefully, we can get up to the higher echelons of the Premier League again. We're a laughing stock. People are taking the piss out of us. You've got Chelsea fans arranging a parade to send us down. Joey says if RDZ doesn't get a tune out of these players, that says more about the players than it does about the manager. Absolutely, 100%. And it works the other way as well, Joe. If they start firing for 7 games now, everyone will be saying, well, where was that? And Ghosted says, then we get back to square one with another manager's players who doesn't suit the next guy. And this is why we've got to keep someone. Ghosted. You know, Danny was on last night and he sent a thing over about all the managers that we've had over the past 25 years. All different styles of play. Yeah. At some stage, you've got to settle on what you want. And this is when we talk about alignment further up the chain. Because if Vinay and Lang can't get on board with what Zerbi wants, yeah, basically because they're too thick to work it out. And this is why, again, we need proper football people in those positions, yeah, to basically run the club. But don't get a manager in who you know is going to have demands. Yeah, they might not be demands right up there, but he's going to want better players in the summer if he keeps us up. And it's down to them to back him. And you just know damn well they're not going to do it. And it'll go tits up next year, especially if we stay up, and he'll be gone. And we'll be back to square one again. So if you're going to employ someone like Zerbi, make sure you back him, because otherwise we'll be here again. Morning to DK. Hope you're well, Danny, this morning. Hope you're well, mate. Flick says, it really doesn't matter who steps in. I think that's meant to me. Nothing will ever change for the better until the board is shaken up and Enoch sell up. And we pretty much all know, Flicks, don't we? That's how it's going to work out. Zorba says, it's all very reactive. I'm not seeing a lot of consistent planning here. They're making it up as they're going along, which doesn't bode well. And they've been doing it for so long now, Zorba. And this is why us as fans, get ourselves in a state like this, if you want to put it that way. Because we're coming on here every day. Every day. Surely someone upstairs has got to make a stand. Someone, somewhere, when you're paying out this sort of money to get a Roberto De Zerbi in, which, he can play lovely football. He needs a goalkeeper who plays football. Hang on a minute. Have we got one of them? Not really. Not from what we've seen. Yeah, Kinski can do the job a bit, but, after what happened the other week, I would imagine he's on the floor still. And we know Vic can't do it. So there's a start straight away. Zorbs, I don't know, mate. There you go. We've had more managers than home wins this season. Says it all. 4 wins at home in 16 months. 16 months. Almost a year and a half. 4 wins at home. What a disgrace. What a disgrace. Apparently, that's what they're talking about, Rob, that it's going to include a get-out clause. So I don't know. Ellie says, like I said yesterday, a manager can make a difference. I truly believe that, and motivation is a big part of any sport and in any walk of life. And there is that, Ellie, but are the players going to respond to it? How many managers do they need to come in a season to get players to respond to them? And I get your point, Ellie. I do get your point. That's why they are there. But are these players responding to anyone? This is the problem with it, for me anyway. Richard says De Zerbi is the best option at the moment. We're out of good options. Yeah, where do you go with 7 games left? What manager that's credible is going to put their reputation on the line to come and get Spurs out of trouble? Yeah, the bun is in the chat as well. Big up to Danny. He's gifted 5 memberships out. I'll see if I can find them on my phone. Probably not. They've probably disappeared off of it. But I'll have a look. Yeah, very generous, Danny. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it. Really appreciate it, Dan. Thank you. Very nice of you. We're all well. Everyone's well, Dan, as far as I know. The chat's full up. Here you go. Scott got one. Big up to Scott. Ghosted might have got one. There you go. And I'm sure Sheriff will be in the chat now, or 10 minutes ago, letting everyone know who's got one. I think Flicks might have got one. There you go to Flicks. Daz is in. Big up to you, Daz. Morning. The missus is up. She brings in the daily cup of tea. Thank you, sweetheart. I'll see you in a bit. Thank you. Beautiful. Big up to you, Daz. I hope you're well, mate. Stig's in. Big up to you, Stig. Here we go. Burke's born and bred's in. Big up to you, my friend. I saw a post over the weekend announcing that the owners have come out and promised to spend big. More empty promises. Again, listen, and I'll state it again, Burks, and for everyone, Tottenham spend money, right? There's no doubt that Tottenham spend money. It's just how we spend it, And again, I'll keep coming back to it, and I know it's boring, but it's all about alignment and having the right people in place. Yeah, we spoke about this before. If you've got a manager and he's got a DOF and they're on the same page, right? Even though the club have got to cough out for these signings and whatever, at least, these two fellas are on the same page and they know what they're looking for. At the moment, you're not going to get that. What does Lang know? What does he know anything? Because the shit show that's been going on at Tottenham for the last 2.5 years has been an absolute piss take from people that ain't got a Scooby about what they're doing. And again, this is where it leads you to. Rob says we need a coach being charged for at least 3 seasons, irrespective of league. We can't keep pressing that panic button. And I agree with that, Rob. I agree with that. Up or down, we need a manager that's going to stay, right? That if we do go down, can rebuild this team again to come back up. Roberto De Zerbi obviously thinks he can keep this team up. Let's hope so. Yeah, because if we go down, the chances are he ain't going to be here in 7 games' time. And the magic roundabout continues again. I hope, in a way, he does keep us up because I want to see what Enoch do. We all know it's probably going to be next to nothing. Again, all the broken promises. As soon as he wants a £50 million player that wants 220 grand a week, it's going to be a no, isn't it? Nige is in. Big up to you, Nige. Hope you're well. Morning cooking chat. Didn't want De Zerbi, but the more I think about it, I'm coming round to the idea. And listen, Nige was meant to do his breakfast show this morning, but he had a job come in early doors. So I think he's 3:15 this afternoon. Put that in your notebooks. Pure Coys, Nige. 3:15 this afternoon, I believe it is. Check it up. I think that's what time he's moved it to anyway. So get over to him. Yeah, we will be in the chat and let's get Nige some numbers in and get him flying again. North Enders, Joey says. Del Boy's in. Big up to you, my friend. Hope you're well. Big up to you, Del Boy. Daniel's in as always. Big up to you, Daniel. Hope you are well this morning. William says the owners have been blindsided by Levy and the 2 DOFs. We need rid of the DOFs. They're having a laugh. 5-year contract meant to be, Rob, at 12 million a year. Aye. I know who this is.
Hi, Cookie, how you doing?
Hello there, Harry. How are you today?
Very good, Cookie. Obviously, it's just listening to Robert Zerbi news and obviously.
So what do you think of Roberto De Zerbi then, Harry?
Well, I've always liked him. Obviously, I like the type of manager. I like Antonio Conte. I like the passion. Obviously, I'm quite a passionate player myself. Obviously, so if I was to come back to Tottenham, I'd love to play under someone like De Zerbi. Obviously, yeah.
And do you think Roberto De Zerbi will be able to get a tune out of these players, Harry, to keep them in the Premier League this season?
Well, it's hard to say, Cookie. These players haven't really shown a lot this season, and obviously they need to show a lot more if they want to stay up in this division. Obviously, they don't want to play in the French Championship, so he could do well. It just depends. It depends if the players really want to play for him or not. Or obviously those players could they might cry in the corner on the training pitch when he shouts at them. So obviously, that might not be good for them. But they do need a bit of a kick up the arse, if I'm honest. To be honest.
I agree, Harry, but I just don't know if these players are going to respond to any manager, let alone Roberto. We know he can be a bit fiery, and if he does manage to keep us up, Harry, do you think that I don't know that he can rebuild this squad as such, and will ENIC back him? This is the question. 25 years says no, Harry, but what do you think?
Well, obviously, it's probably not the hardest question to answer. ENIC, obviously, the Daniel Levy really was, he gave me lots of gentleman agreements, never worked out, obviously. So if they give Zerbi a gentleman agreement, he's going to explode like a ticking time bomb, obviously. So it just depends, really. It's a hard one to say. It's really hard to call this one, but I'm going to get the popcorn out and obviously I'm going to enjoy it from the sidelines and see what happens, really, obviously, yeah.
Well, that's good, Harry. That's really good. I'm so pleased you've popped on this morning to let the Spurs fans know what you really feel about Roberto De Zerbi. What could there have been, or still could there be any other choice, Harry, for a different manager to come to Spurs, or does it look like De Zerbi is like 99% nailed on?
Obviously, I'd say that it's probably done. I don't think any other manager should come in. He's probably the best manager out there right now, obviously. He's got Premier League experience. He's plays good football. Yeah, obviously. So, with De Zerbi, I really do think that he's got the best chance of getting this team united and playing a little bit. You might get a few babies in there crying and whinging and moaning, obviously. But I do think that he'd be the best one to if anyone's going to get a chance, it's got to be him. Obviously, and yeah, so why not? I say why not? I'm looking forward to the Zerbi ball.
Yeah. Do you think that? Do you think, Harry, that Roberto could split the fan base as such with his, with how he is? I'm reading a lot of stuff that there's fans not happy with him coming in because of his certain views on things, which, to me, listen, at the end of the day, we're here for football. I'm not here for politics, but I just wonder what your thoughts on that side of it were as the fan base being divided on a De Zerbi appointment.
Well, obviously, Tottenham fans are very they believe everything they hear in the media, obviously. And when you look at like some ex-legends through the club, like Paul Gascoigne, obviously, I mean, look at what he did with his wife. So I mean, Tottenham fans, they don't want to talk about that because he played for Tottenham, right? So obviously. They don't want to talk about me either. I was a boyhood Arsenal fan, but no, I played for Tottenham, so obviously, you know how it goes, Cookie. So they just want to ignore it, and obviously, yeah.
Danny, get rid of that face, will you? Because I can't concentrate. I can't concentrate, Dad. It's so funny, honestly. I'm trying to be an interviewer here. Do you know what I mean? I'm thinking, like, it's really Harry sitting there. How are you, Danny? You all right, mate?
Can you hear me now? Yeah,
Yeah, I can hear you. How are you, mate? You all right?
Yeah, I'm all right. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right, man. Yeah, I'm all right. I'm just, steaming into ENIC a little bit, Danny, because we said weeks ago, I know I'll keep saying it, that it was going to get to this point where they didn't have anywhere else to run. And it's finally got to that point now where they've had to make the decision of what they're making now.
Yeah.
Literally because the alleyway's closed. This is the last chance saloon. But you know, from what I'm reading, they're making him promises, Danny, like they've made promises to other managers. Why?
Well,
Why would he believe it, Danny? Is it just the money? Is it just all about the money?
I mean, the money is a massive persuasion tactic for anyone, really. I mean, if you're getting offered like you're going to be the third highest paid manager in the league, it says a lot, right?
Yeah.
Whether that's because because there's a couple. I think there's a lot of things all tied into the decision of bringing someone like him in. I mean, the first thing is number one. I don't think you can get anyone as good as him right now, who's actually available and free, some of his experience and his level in management to come into this football club, especially given all the circumstances. And then on top of that, I mean, he's a manager that's managing in the highest level, right? He actually did very well when he was in the Premier League, um, with a Brighton team which are very poor compared to a lot of other teams. So do you know what De Zerbi reminds me of? I'm not saying that the style of manager, but in terms of his character, but he gives me that kind of Pochettino vibe, but in the modern era. Like what I mean by that is, you know how like when De Zerbi was at Brighton, he nearly finished in the Champions League spots with them. He finished sixth, I think he did. Um, and they were playing like really beautiful football, and they were a really good team to watch. Um, so for me, what in terms of him coming in, I think I, I think it's like I'm trying to best way to describe it. Um, I think that he's the best that they could get right now, and to attempt someone like him to come in, they're going to have to pay silly wages, right? There probably is going to be some kind of clauses in his contract if Spurs go down, right? So it would be like a relegation clause, essentially like what the players have, but rather than a wage deduction, it would be more like a get out of jail card. But in that respect, he won't get his full payout if he was to get sacked, basically, if that makes sense. It would be like, well, he can go. They've got like an agreement fee that he will get if Spurs get relegated. And yeah, and if they stay in the league, I'm sure he's going to get an even bigger bonus, right? So there's a lot of incentives from a financial point of view. But if I'm gonna say we're staying up, right? That's always been my take throughout the whole season since we've been in this mess. Um, I think that next season, right? If Spurs, if the board don't want to run into the same mistake in terms of a relegation battle again, they are going to have to do something different, right? And I think based on what I've seen, right, they're gonna have to they must have learned from this season um the mistakes they made by not signing players in January, right? And only going after one or two players in certain positions, and then if they're not available, they don't get anyone, which I think is disgraceful. I think that if if they are business people we think they are, then you would like to assume that from a common sense point of view, that in the summertime, um, when we're going for players and the Zerbi wants certain players, they go and get who he wants, right? Or get people that's like from A, B, or C in the list of positions in players for the players we need. So it's look with the Zerbi, I think I'm quite excited by him. I've always liked his style of character. I love passionate people who are especially in the game of football. I like the Contes. I like the De Zerbis. I like these kind of characters. I like that he can say it as it is, and he might disrupt the masses, right? But for me personally, I think he's got the potential to be a top class manager. But again, it's the same story we have with every single manager at this football club, Cookie. It's whether or not the board are gonna take the shackles off, right? Or they're gonna keep him chained up. So it all depends on what they decide to do. And uh, if we do stay up, which I think we will, um, you can't. I refuse to believe that they're gonna completely neglect again in the summer, right? Especially if they've got Zerbi on a 5-year contract. Because if they are that dumb and they do the same thing again in the summertime, I honestly think it's going to be even more toxic when Zerbi like explodes, right? He's going to explode at some point. So yeah, look, I think it's a good managerial decision. I mean, I don't know whether it's the right decision right now, right? But let's be honest, how many of us will pretty much at this current point, does it really matter who the manager is? I mean, apart from Tudor, I think he would have definitely got us relegated. And De Zerbi, he's got a lot of Premier League experience, and he's not a stupid man. So and also he plays the formations that most Spurs fans want to see the team play, which is 4 at the back, 4-2-3-1. That's his kind of go-to, which was the same as what Poch was his go-to was. So you're looking at it and you're thinking, well, he might actually start playing players in their positions, which is kind of what most of us really want at this point. So yeah, Cookie, I think it's a good decision, and I think Spurs, I think they had to pay that sort of money, right? And if you look at it from a business point of view, by paying him that much money, it's to stay in the league. It's far more. Is such a little amount compared to what it would cost Spurs if they got relegated. When you weigh it out and you balance out the benefits and disadvantages of paying him that much money, yeah, it's much more beneficial for Spurs if they stay in the league, because if they don't, they're going to lose hundreds of millions. So it's a lot more than what they're doing to pay someone like De Zerbi. Now, I couldn't give a shit how much a manager is paid, right? It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter it shouldn't matter to any of us because it's not our money. All I care about is if he does a good job or not.
Yeah, agreed.
So
yeah, go on, Dan.
yeah, no, I was gonna say, yeah, that's all I care about, whether he does a good job or not. And yeah, I think De Zerbi can. I think this season, what I'm interested to see is how quickly he's gonna try or what he's gonna do for the next 7 games. Is he gonna try and implement his style straight away, or is he gonna look at it and be like, well, we need to kind of just stay in the division first, and then we can worry about the style next in the summer.
Yeah. Is what you were saying, Danny, about you think it's a good match. Now, he's got a reputation for blowing up with players, with boards. Yep. What makes you think that if he does have a bit of a blow up, that ENIC will respond, whereas they haven't in the past to a manager, Dan?
Well, I'm only using basic human knowledge in the sense of look at what's happened in the last 2 seasons. If they continue doing the same things they've done, I can guarantee you next season we'll get relegated. Like, we will get relegated. Like, this team has been on the verge for years now, even before Ange Postecoglou was even here. Under Conte is when it started. That's when we well, it all started under Poch, but we sit under those Conte days. I was saying back then that without Kane and Son, we're a relegation team. So, and it's kind of, this is exactly where we are now, because we haven't even replaced them with players who can distribute the contribution of goals and assists across the team. So yeah, it's sorry, what was the other question you said, Cookie?
They just put themselves in a position, Dan, aren't they, at the end of the day with nowhere to go. Yeah, that's what it boils down to, doesn't it?
What do you think will happen, Cookie? Like, if we stay up in this league in the summer, do you expect, like, there's all this talk that they said they want to get these players in, they want to go. I mean, look, let's be honest, the players that they have targeted, the majority of the players since Levy, well, in this last summer and January, they're at a higher level than we've targeted before, right? It's not to say that we haven't done enough, because we all know we haven't done enough, but the level of players they are targeting is at a much higher level than I've seen before, right?
Yeah.
Like, the Ezes, the Gibbs Whites, the Savinios, the Gallagher's, they're all these players are all players that are ready to go into the team, right? What
Yep.
they're not players like these youngsters, like your Odebears and your Tells and your Archie Greys, and you know what I mean. They're players that are ready to play. So my thinking thought process on it is that if they do the same thing and they act, but this time rather than say, oh no, we haven't got the right player, sign a player, because there is loads of players out there that are ready to get into this first team. It's not hard at this current moment. So I'd like to think that they're not going to be that dumb to make the same mistake again. Because if they do, then I'm telling you now, we'll get relegated next season. I'll say it right now.
Dan, totally agree. Something's got to change at the end of the day, and it's either Enoch pull their finger out, or we go down, and then we see what happens from there. Because it's one or the other at the end of the day, isn't it, Dan?
Well, yeah, but also, Cookie, it's not even that. It's like if we do stay up, right? Then, if we do stay up, right? Then the other thing is that are they going to keep running it the exact same way, or are they going to look at him and be like, well, look, we had a close call here. If we keep doing the same decisions that we've been doing, then we're going to go down next season. So they kind of have to look at it and be like, well, we've got to change our ways, otherwise we're going to repeat the same thing that happened. So that's my logic on it. Like, I can't see how they. I'm not saying they're going to change dramatically, but I'm saying that maybe they've learned and thought, well, rather than risk not signing a player in January, sign a player or two. I know they signed Gallagher, but it was such bad management of the squad and the players that they didn't bring in. They easily could have brought in a couple more players if they wanted to. So that's where I sit on it. And with the Zerbi as the manager, I think they'll have even more problems if they don't sign players. The guy is a loose cannon, and I'm here for it. I love that type of manager.
Oh yeah,
I genuinely do.
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely going to hold them to account as such, Danny, isn't he?
100%. Especially if you sign a 5-year deal. Like, that's madness. That is crazy.
Yeah. F-Sank says the wokerati within our fan base are having a meltdown because of the Zerbi, and he's loving it.
Oh,
he says
so
he's
funny.
loving it. What do you make of that, Danny? What do you make of the woke side of the fan base kicking up such a fuss about this?
That's what I put out on Twitter. My stance is that, do you want to talk about something about De Zerbi? It's like they just want to find something to moan about, right? Because they've got nothing better to do than moan about something that they've got no idea what actually happened. Like, if they actually want to go by the facts, right? The facts are the guy. What do you call it? De Zerbi has said that he's well, first of all, he got acquitted from those assault charges or rape charges, right? Second of all, he's actually had a second baby with the lady he's currently with, who was the one who actually put in the assault claims before. So clearly they're all right if they've just had a new kid, right? A new baby together. And thirdly, like De Zerbi said in one of his interviews, he said that something, I can't remember the exact quotes, but it was something on the lines of that he's you don't really know him, so you have to kind of know him to find out the type of person he actually is, sort of thing. It's like basically saying like the media, the world have got no idea what this guy's really about. And also he was acquitted from it. He wasn't charged with it. So in my opinion, it's like these type of fans, they want to talk shit like that, but then when it comes to our own, everything's fine, everything's okay. This is the same fans who probably saying that, right? In these fan groups, who are probably who have probably seen the era of Gaza and players like that. Well, why don't they look at their very own Paul Gascoigne and see what he did?
Yeah.
Look at what Paul Gascoigne did. If they want to talk shit about what De Zerbi saying that the guy is not the same person that the media think he is, and all this kind of stuff about Mason Greenwood, but yet Paul Gascoigne physically and mentally abused his ex-wife. But no, that's okay because he plays for Spurs. So it's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. You can't. It's the most contradictory kind of stance you can take. And then also on top of that, to look at Vinay and like the Basuma situation, and look at someone like Vinay who was trying to well, they knew about what was happening with Partey, and they didn't get rid of him. They kept him until they released him last summer, in the summertime. Sorry. So they wanted to keep him because they knew he was a key player to them, and they wanted to try and win the title. And then that's when they lost it to City, lost it last season again to Liverpool, and only then they get rid of him. So they want to use that energy for Zerbi. Well, why don't they use it for someone like Vinay? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just they just pick and choose. It's what's the word? Selective bias. It's just whenever they decide something suits their narrative, they will would kind of twist the actual facts, but they won't give the full story of what's happened. It's just they just want to just moan and kick up a fuss for nothing. They've got nothing better to do, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
Danny, as I know, the protests and that have died out in favour of this gathering stuff. Do you expect this gathering stuff to continue? Because obviously it looks like, unless Tottenham go down towards the end of the season, you might get a protest at the Everton game. But is it a case of now that this gathering thing is just going to be with us till the end of the season, and it is what it is?
My stance on this whole on the bus parade, you mean?
Yeah.
My whole stance on it is that I'm annoyed that I don't care if they do a bus parade, right? I like the fact that they're actually trying to create some kind of atmosphere. I think it's a good idea. Don't get me wrong, right? But what I'm annoyed about is that if you can get up 20,000 fans, right, to go and go to a bus parade, but then when the club is in this state that it's in, you can get 100 to 150 people at a protest to protest the club's board. So to me, that tells me that the fans would rather just ignore the shit that's going on at this football club, right? Ignore it because it affects them too emotionally, right? They get too emotionally affected by it, and I understand that because we know how football can be very, very important in a lot of people's lives and how it can sometimes be their only outlet. But it's like a very contradicting thing too, because the very reason we're in the situation is because of the way the club has been run by ENIC. So wouldn't you think logically, well, if I protest against ENIC and maybe make it uncomfortable with him, then maybe something can change, and then I don't have to be in a situation of feeling shit about my football club anymore, right? That's how I see it. So I cannot understand or get on board with the fact that they can go to a parade, but then not have the same energy to go to a protest. And for them not to be, and for a protest not to happen, for me, it's just like, wow, it's unbelievable, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean,
what do you think, Cookie? What's your take on it?
Listen, I'm pretty much the same as you. I wasn't up for the bus parade. I can see why they wanted to do it.
Yeah, I can see why I wouldn't go to it personally.
Yeah, no, and I'm the same. But I was planning to go down to get there to film it against the Forest game, but we didn't get there till late. And listen, if fans want to do that, I get it. Right, I get all that, the feel-good factor and all that. Yeah. But for me, I support the players on the pitch, right? Inside the ground, I will then support the players. I pay me money the same as everyone else does to go in that ground and support the team.
Yeah.
Again, if people want to do the bus parade thing and it makes them feel good and it feels like that you're giving the players a G up, all I would say to that is we lost 3-0 to Nottingham Forest in probably one of the worst performances that I've seen from a Tottenham team from a long time, especially in that second half.
Agree.
Right? You can look at it the other way and say about the protests are about ENIC,
Yeah.
at the end of the day. It's not about managers. It's not about players, right? It's about ENIC and what they're doing.
Yeah.
And what they're doing at the moment is that, like we said, they've gone down an alleyway. They've now, let's say, appointed Zerbi. I know it's not quite done yet, but
Yeah, it's going to happen.
Zerbi's appointed, right? And it leaves them where they are.
Yeah.
And it's either you're going to stay up or you're going to go down. We know that anyway. Whether he can do enough to galvanise any of these players, if that's the right word, to do something different to what they've been doing for the last 2 years and get us out of this shit, then, you know, let's hope he can do it. But I don't know if there's anyone out there, Danny, that can lift these players enough to get a couple of results out of them before the end of the season. I honestly don't. They've been so poor, you know. In the Premier League, you know, the Arsenal, the Fulham, you know, the Crystal Palace game.
Yeah.
You know, we all sat there watching, Danny, and it was like, wow, is this what we've got, you know, to keep us up this season? And when players ain't putting it in, mate, it tells me that it don't matter what manager comes in, they ain't playing for the club. They're not playing for themselves. They're not playing for the club. They're not playing for the fans. They've already got their eyes on moves away from the club in the summer. I think it's a disgrace, Danny. I honestly do.
I agree, Cookie. I completely agree with all of that. The only thing I'd say to that is that Zerbi is definitely a manager who's got more appeal to our age of players, because these players were younger when they saw what Zerbi did in the Premier League when he was there, right? And the style of football that he plays, right?
Yeah.
They might not like his attitude, but he is someone who's not gonna be taken for a mug, put it that way, right? So for me, I think, like, I've said this about these players all the time, right? I know they're shit, but these players can decide to turn up when they feel like it, and they will surprise you when you least expect it. And I think something like this with Zerbi, I think we'll give these players enough not to win loads of games, but between now and the end of the season, to get enough points wherever that is to stay up in the league. And I still believe that can happen. I still believe that he'll get enough points to keep us up. And I believe the players will put in performances on some certain halves, maybe for 20 minutes, maybe for half an hour in a game, where it will be just enough to get some kind of result. And that's what I believe. I believe they've got it in them to do that enough, because I've seen it for the last 3 years. They sometimes play well for 45 minutes. They sometimes play well for 30 minutes in a game. They sometimes play well for 20 minutes. They sometimes do a snatch and grab where they play shit and then they get a goal, or it's a really shit game. It's 0-0 and we get a corner and we score. It's like 1-0 or even a 1-1.
Yeah.
That's what I think it's going to be. It's going to be like that. I don't think it's going to be this glistening football that people expect to have under Zerbi. I'd put it this way. I'd be absolutely shocked if Zerbi was able to get this team playing a fantastic type of football with the current players that we've got fit and available. Like, I'd be shocked. I'd say build that man a statue if he can get a team cohesive and doing the basics to a really high standard, and then getting wins, a few more wins than everyone expected, or maybe one more win or two more wins than people expected between now and the end of the season. I'd say build him a statue, but also at the same time, I'd say, well, I'd be really angry, because I'd be like, well, these players, they do have it in them when they feel like it, which then goes back to the point of these players still need to be sold, because they clearly don't have it in them to have that level of standard within themselves on a consistent basis, which is why they're average footballers.
Yeah. Is it time now, Danny, these 7 games? It's all about back to basics, round pegs, round holes, all that type of thing, yeah?
100%.
Get us hard to beat.
I just want him to work on. I want him to work on the passing, which, from what I've heard from other ex players, you've probably seen. I don't know if you've seen any interviews of ex players who have been coached under Zerbi. and some videos on his type of like training regimes, and he does like to do a lot of the basics, which is good because I think our players need the basics right now.
Yeah.
And on top of that, he does like to work on he does high intensity training. So kind of a bit like what Potts used to do, right? The type of really high intensity training.
Yeah.
And because he needs the team to be ready to kind of pounce all the time, because that's how his teams play. They're very kind of energetic, high octane, but also disciplined. They're not like it's not like Ange ball football. Do you know what I mean? It's a lot more. The way I see it, the way that he plays his game is they play the way to invite the pressure so that they can dictate the way the game is played. So they kind of dictate the play by their football, and that's the type of football. And I like that kind of football because I think it looks really nice on the eye when it works. It's just whether or not he's got enough players to believe in this now. But the other thing as well is that when you look at the 5 year contract, you can look at it and be like, well, the players might now look at it and be like, well, at least we know. So this is the only caveat, the good thing that I'd say is about the 5 year contract is that those players there, if they're now seeing Zerbi and they know that he's going to be there for 5 years, and they know that if they stay up in the Premier League, right, he's going to be the manager next season. And say that, for example, they like his methods or his training or his football ideas or philosophy, right? You might see some of them start to wake up again because they're not looking at a Thomas Frank, right, who's pragmatic. They're not looking at a Tudor who's just all over the place, right? But they're looking at a manager they know that they can get on board with, and they know that he's going to be there going forward, and that they actually might like his ideology of the game and how it should be played. So it might give the players that kind of something that's they've been missing, that belief to say, actually, I actually want to play under this guy. I actually want to be and start showing why De Zerbi's going to need to use him now and for next season too, if we're up in the Premier League, because he's going to be the manager. So it's kind of like these next 7 games, you could look at it like as a trial for these players, because if they want to stay in the Premier League, and they regardless of whether they leave or not, because if they're in the Premier League, a lot of them ain't going to leave as easy as people think they will. Like, and I don't think some of them will leave if we're in the Premier League, even though I still want them to go. Like, I don't care if Van der Ven goes. I don't care if Romero goes. I couldn't care less. But it gives these players that kind of chance now to show the manager if he can trust them and rely on them.
Yeah.
Because if he can't rely on them and we stay up, then he knows who needs to be sold. That's my opinion. But
Ben's put a good point in. Coffee's put a good point in. Danny, as well, we should have some players coming back, shouldn't we? As well, you know, you've got your Doggies and your Bergvalls and your Kudoses that should be hopefully, you know, ready to go by Sunderland. I don't know if you know, Danny, the latest on a Maddison and Kulu. Are they done this season now, or is there still a chance that they could be back?
I've got no idea. I don't think Kulu will be back this season. In my opinion, I don't think he's gonna be back this season. But I do think Maddison will be back for the last few games. That's just what I believe. What I hope anyway.
Yeah.
I know we've seen the training videos and stuff, but I've said it from the beginning. I said I think Maddison in the last couple of games, he can make a difference. Like, people laugh when I say that, but that's all it needs is a few games. All you need is 3 points in one game and 1 point in another game, and Maddison could be that difference maker.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He literally could be a difference maker for 3 games. And then we'll all be saying, oh, see how Maddison came back and helped us survive. It's like, that's how quickly football can change. It's one game. It can change everything. Look at the playoff final. They fight all season in the championship for one game that changes their whole fate. Do you know what I mean? It's like the most expensive game in football. So it can change in an instant, and Yeah, and I've always said that I also feel that us staying up is a barometer based on the players that are coming back, because I do think those players are going to help, because all the players that have been injured are all our best attacking players.
Yeah.
Kudus, Kulu, Madison. These players are they're the most effective players for us. Like, and we've missed them a lot. And I know Solanke's crap, but we also did miss him at the beginning of the season. So, so if you can get all of them back as Kudus as well, which I think Kudus is going to be back, I think, for Sunderland.
Yeah, apparently so. Apparently he's going to be back.
That'd be a massive one there for us, for Kudus.
Yeah.
And I think Kudus is exactly the type of player De Zerbi wants.
Oh, definitely, Dan. Definitely. We need to get Kudus back on the pitch again, and also have more options on the pitch, Dan. So when he does get the ball, he ain't got 3 bloody defenders round him and he can't go nowhere. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You know. So, well, it is what it is at the end of the day. Look, we're going to leave it there for today, Dan. We've got to the bottom of the chat, so it's all good. We've had a good old chat about De Zerbi. Really enjoyed it. Thanks for coming on, Danny, and Harry. You make me laugh, mate, so much. Honestly, I'm trying to keep a straight face and talk to you, and all I'm looking at is Harry Kane. It's so funny, man.
Good questions. Some good questions as well.
There you go. I just want to say thanks to everyone for being in today. As usual, I've had nearly 140 people in here this morning, so it's been really, really good. We'll be back again tomorrow for another breakfast brunch in the morning. Make sure to hit your notification bells. Big up to Danny for giving 5 memberships today as well, Danny. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that, mate. Listen, De Zerbi's close. Let's hope Tottenham get it over the line so we can get settled, get this manager in, and hopefully he can work the oracle on some of these players if it's possible and get us out of trouble. We'll see you all again in the morning, 9:30 for the breakfast brunch. Thanks again to everyone being in. Thanks to Danny. See you all soon. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Cookie and the share.